This is Southern New England's trusted news source. Good Morning Providence.
You are looking live outside our downtown Providence studios on a foggy morning. It's all quiet here and now. But a tropical storm has formed off the coast of North Carolina. This one is called Faye. She may bring some heavy rain and wind to portions of southern New England. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Jon Meterparel. Dorian Scanlon has the day off. It's Friday, July 10th. Happy TGIF. And let's head over to the Weather Center where Tim Studebaker in for Chelsea is tracking the storm. Hey, Tim. With a tropical storm churning off the coast, now's the time to make sure you are prepared for the storm. Some rain and wind, as Tim just mentioned. National Grid tells us they are on alert and have crews at the ready to help restore power if any outages were to occur. Faye also has the potential to bring high surf. In Cranston, meanwhile, police investigating a crash injuring a woman who was walking her dog. It happened just after 7 last night on Farmington Ave. Police telling us a woman lost control of her car, hit a 65-year-old victim and then a house. The driver and the victim were taken to a hospital. The driver's in stable condition with broken bones. Cranston police say the 22-year-old female didn't stop at a stop sign and was speeding. They are still investigating. Breaking overnight. One person has been shot in Boston's Jamaica Plain neighborhood. According to officials, the call came in at around 9:30, reporting a person had been shot in the area of 75 Armory Avenue. The victim was rushed to a local hospital, but the extent of their injuries is currently unknown. No further details were immediately made available.
Those who want to make the city more dangerous will not be allowed to run around this city unchecked.
That's the Fall River Mayor, Paul Coogan, sending a message this morning. The recent uptick in crime in the city is unacceptable. The mayor, joined by the Bristol DA, Tom Quinn, and fellow Fall River Police Chief Jeff Cardoza, addressing a spike of violence in the city. Just in the last 39 days, the crime rate has skyrocketed. 33 calls for shots fired in the month of June. Of the 9 shootings since June 1st, only 3 of them with arrests.
These are very serious crimes that undermine people's sense of security in their neighborhoods. There's nothing wrong with somebody coming down for a 4th of July party, but when fights break out and guns are pulled, that is unacceptable.
The known suspects in the recent arrests are from Fall River, New Bedford, and Brockton. And in the meantime, Fall River's police chief has asked the state police and FBI to help patrol the city. Caught on camera in Boston. Get this. 2 window washers had to be rescued from scaffolding, dangling off the side of a building 13 stories up in the air. It happened around 11 yesterday morning when the platform stopped working. This is a building on Harrison Avenue in Boston's Chinatown. One of the workers was dangling from a rope. They were eventually pulled into safety through windows.
They weren't injured in any way. It seems like they were actually pretty well trained for what they do.
Everybody was wearing the proper safety precautions and knew what to do, and we were able to get everybody down safely without getting anybody injured.
The owner says this is the first incident of its kind in 35 years for his company. OSHA is investigating. And another rescue, this one in Quincy. A man missing for days after he fell off a cliff and into a quarry has been found. According to the fire department, the man was discovered by a hiker who heard him moaning in pain. We're told he had slipped and fallen 40 feet. When first responders rescued him, the man was able to move. He was taken to a hospital with extensive injuries. And welcome back. Legislation is making news at the State House this morning. State lawmakers are thinking about making it much easier to place bets online in Rhode Island. A new bill would drop the requirement that users register in person at Twin River. Legislators say it's all about COVID safety and about boosting sportsbook revenue, which plunged after professional sports leagues shut down, leaving people with nothing to bet on.
Especially when it comes down to betting and stuff like that, right now it's not the time. Right now the time to be saving money, putting our money up, because like I said, only God knows what's going to happen.
Legislation has been introduced in the House and is expected to be introduced in the Senate soon. Now to the latest on the coronavirus and its impact on education. Education leaders in Providence are reacting to President Trump's comments on reopening schools. The president threatening to cut funding to states whose schools don't fully reopen, and leaders in Providence say they can't have kids return to class in the fall without a plan.
At the end of the day, those of us who are actually in the schools and see our children and care about our children are very concerned about returning to school without a viable plan that has children and staff safety at the forefront.
Calabro also said it's important for a variety of options for parents to have. She called the president's demand, quote, reckless. As of right now, Rhode Island public schools are set to open August 31st. URI is making SAT and ACT test scores optional for students applying for 2021 admission. Instead, the review process will be based off of high school grades and the difficulty level of courses students took. School officials say the goal is to help reduce stress and anxiety. Making some headlines around the world this morning. The mayor of Seoul, South Korea, largely considered the second most powerful official in the country, is dead. According to his daughter, Park Won-soon went missing, and after a 7-hour search, a rescue team found him on a mountainside in the city. Police say no foul play is suspected. He left a will, writing, "I'm sorry to everyone. I have been sorry to my family, for I have only caused them pain." On Wednesday, a legal complaint involving Park had been filed and submitted to police, which is now closed under South Korean law. The spire on Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, which was damaged by a fire in April 2019, will be restored to its original Gothic design. The announcement puts to rest any speculation about a contemporary update to the landmark. President Macron says he wants restoration work completed by 2024, when Paris is set to host the Olympics. The Wildlife Conservation Society has released what they say are the first known camera trap images of a group of endangered Cross River gorillas with several infants of different ages. The photos were captured in the MBE Mountains in Nigeria. The society says there are only about 300 Cross River gorillas left in the wild, making it the most endangered gorilla subspecies. They've rarely been seen or even photographed. Still to come on Good Morning Providence. The Red Sox hold their first scrimmage at Fenway. See who stood out on the mound and at the plate. But first, here are your winning numbers. Good luck, and we hope you won. And welcome back. How about some Red Sox baseball? With the opening day on the horizon in 2 weeks, there was some live action at Fenway yesterday. Red Sox holding their first scrimmage. They'll take on the Orioles 2 weeks from tonight. Nate Eovaldi starting for the group of Red Sox, trending towards being the opening day starter, with Eduardo Rodriguez still recovering from COVID-19. He gets the punch out to end the second. He tossed 4 scoreless innings, and here's Eovaldi after his stint.
I'd be honored to take the ball opening day. I'd be excited to do so as well. And treat it as any other start. In this little COVID break, whatever you want to call it, I was trying to work on my slider a lot. I felt like it's improved. I had some outs with that. Helped having some quick outs for me.
Worcester's John Andrioli wrapping a 3-run homer around Pesky's pole to lead his group of Red Sox to a 4-0 win. The Celtics are in Orlando. They're expected to have their first practice today. The Celtics made it into Disney World safely late Wednesday night, checked into their hotel where they may have to stay for 3 months. Enes Kanter and the rest of the team taking the time Thursday to get used to what's been set up for them by the NBA in the team hotels.
Deshaun, let's do a deal. How about we go to D.C. and I take you to the Holocaust Museum? And then you take me to the Museum of African American History and Culture. Afterwards, we grab some burgers and we have those uncomfortable conversations.
Julian Edelman posting a response to anti-Semitic posts on social media by Eagles wide receiver Deshaun Jackson, and throwing out the idea, as you just heard, as the two meeting in D.C. and learning about each other's heritage. Edelman's new quarterback Cam Newton working out with another one of his new wide receivers this week. Second-year wideout N'Keal Harry got onto the field with the Patriots quarterback, and shown in this video from John Aguero and EBA production, Newton hasn't wasted any time in getting to work with some of his Patriots teammates. Our teammate Jim Stearns with us with a look at the roads. Jim, how's your arm?
Not that good.
You are looking live at the Providence skyline from the roof of our downtown studios. It's foggy and it's quiet now, but some rain is on the way. Tim Studebaker will tell you more for this forecast in just a minute. Welcome back to Good Morning Providence. It is 6:30, and here's a look at some of the stories you'll see coming up in the next half hour. Today at the State House, Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee will hand in a petition asking the governor to give more aid to small businesses. And new information from Dr. Anthony Fauci as he tells hotspot states with surging cases not to shut back down. Chocolate sales on the rise in the U.S. as Americans turn to comfort food during the pandemic. But first, let's go over to the Weather Center. Tim Studebaker in for Chelsea Priest, taking a big look at the storm, Tropical Storm Faye. Thank you, Tim. Now to the latest on the coronavirus. Small business owners in Rhode Island are calling on the governor to use more of the state's federal funds from the CARES Act on small business relief. Later today, Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee handing over a petition with more than 3,000 signatures. Good morning, Providence reporter Ellie Romano live at the State House with more. Hi, Ellie. All right, thank you, Ellie. And taking a look at the latest tally of coronavirus cases in Rhode Island, the Department of Health reporting 50 new cases. That brings the total number to 17,243. There are also 3 COVID-related deaths. That total now at 974. In Massachusetts, the Department of Public Health reporting an additional 177 confirmed cases of COVID-19. In addition, they confirmed 25 deaths across the state, bringing the death total to a little more than 8,000. Scientists are now warning of a coronavirus complication that could seriously impact your brain. In a new report out of London, researchers warn COVID-19 could lead to strokes, nerve damage, and possibly deadly brain swelling, even if the patients didn't have severe symptoms linked to the disease. Dr. Anthony Fauci is encouraging states with surging coronavirus cases not to shut down again. Instead, he suggests to learn what worked and what didn't.
I would think we need to get the states pausing in their opening process, looking at what did not work well, and try to mitigate that. I don't think we need to go back to an extreme of shutting down.
Earlier, Dr. Fauci had said states with high case counts should seriously look into shutting down again. There are 3 million cases of the virus in the U.S. New details on an FBI investigation in Massachusetts. Human remains have been found in Methuen. The area was being dug up by the FBI, the agency's evidence response team searching the backlot of a building on Milk Street. We now know it's related to a missing persons case in New Hampshire. The remains have been sent to the state medical examiner's office for DNA testing. A Department of Justice investigation found police officers in Springfield regularly used excessive force, and the department failed to discipline them. The results of the 2-year investigation came out late last night. It found officers with the department's Narcotics Bureau routinely resorted to punching suspects in the head at the first sign of resistance. Meanwhile, the NYPD says it's experiencing a surge in the number of officers filing for retirement. 179 uniformed officers filing for retirement from June 29th to July 6th. The number is 5 times higher than it was this time last year. The increase comes amid a police shortage shortly after New York City slashed $1 billion from its police budget. And a TSA whistleblower is taking credit for changes made by the agency to better protect passengers and officers. TSA Federal Security Director Jay Brainard says he first raised concerns about how the agency was handling the pandemic in June. Because of his complaints, he says agents now have to change gloves between interactions with passengers and wear face shields in addition to masks. In consumer news, this is good news if you love chocolate. Forget the freshman 15. Many Americans are dealing with the COVID-19, and a go-to comfort food seems to be chocolate. Sales of chocolate have been on the rise since mid-March. During the 17-week period that ended on June 27th, people bought 3.7 billion tons of worth of chocolate. That's a 6.3% increase from the comparable period last year. Even as the economy takes a hit during the pandemic, Americans are now shrinking the amount of credit card debt. For the first time in 3 years, the debt is below $1 trillion. The decrease comes as a decrease in spending options for Americans, with the coronavirus shutting down many bars, restaurants, sports venues, and other gathering spaces. Meantime, Walmart is planning its own membership program. The retailer is reportedly close to launching a service similar to Amazon Prime. It's scheduled for release later this month. The Walmart Plus subscription expected to cost $98 and include perks like same-day delivery and fuel discounts to compete with Amazon's ownership of Whole Foods. The company is also expected to include grocery options in the deal. And it is 6:38 and still to come on Good Morning Providence. In an attempt to combat the coronavirus, colleges across the country limiting on-campus housing, leaving some students without a place to stay. Plus, new recommendations from the American Cancer Society on the HPV vaccine and what age you should be getting it. And welcome back. As colleges in Rhode Island limit their on-campus housing options because of the pandemic, students are starting to scramble. Some at Rhode Island College were set to return to on-campus housing less than 2 weeks from now, but they were suddenly left with nowhere to live. One woman in Warwick, though, has made it her mission to help those students by seeing if local residents will be willing to rent out rooms to students without housing. They are now compiling a list of people with spare rooms, and that is an ongoing situation, who would be willing to host a student in need of housing. Health officials are looking for volunteers right now to try out the COVID-19 vaccine before it becomes available to the public. Researchers are looking to recruit tens of thousands of volunteers. There's a website where you can sign up. Researchers say they're actually trying to look for people who go out a lot and don't wear a mask in public, because they say they'll be able to figure out if a vaccine is effective or not. Meanwhile, a new study finding that so-called broken heart syndrome has increased during the coronavirus. That's the common name for stress-induced cardiomyopathy, which happens when heart muscles weaken, leading to chest pain and shortness of breath. It's triggered by stressful events, and during the pandemic, people have been 2 times more likely to experience broken heart syndrome. It's 6:45. No word on whether Tim Studebaker has a broken heart, but we are taking a live look over downtown Providence. Hopefully our hearts won't be broken this weekend, Tim, with the weather. Now let's go to Times Square for a look at what's coming up on Good Morning America. Here's Rob Marciano.
Coming up on GMA, new numbers in the coronavirus emergency. 3 states hitting new daily records in deaths, as Dr. Fauci warns some of those hard-hit Sunbelt states should hit pause. And now, growing concern about religious gatherings emerging as hotspots. One of the nation's leading public health experts joins us live. That plus much more on GMA. We'll see you soon.
We'll be back with a look at your news on the go. Plus, Tim's back with your on-the-go forecast. You're watching ABC6, Southern New England's trusted news source. Stay with us. Welcome back. It is 6:52. Time for your news on the go. All your headlines, weather, and traffic. A tropical storm has formed off the coast of North Carolina. Expect some rain and some wind to impact portions of southern New England. Tim will have his updated forecast in just a minute. But first, police in Providence think a missing teen may be with a man wanted for a recent murder on Progress Avenue. Police issued a warrant yesterday for 18-year-old Felix Hernandez Rosado, who also goes by Javier Hernandez. The warrant's related to the murder of Jose Gonzalez Colon last Wednesday. Police say Hernandez Rosado should be considered armed and dangerous, and he also may be with 14-year-old Alaya Trinidad, who was reported missing last Friday. In Cranston, police investigating a crash injuring a woman who was walking her dog. It happened just after 7 last night on Farmington Ave. Police tell us a woman lost control of her car, hit a 65-year-old victim, and then a house. The driver and the victim were taken to a hospital. The driver's in stable condition with broken bones. Cranston police say the 22-year-old female didn't stop at a stop sign and was speeding. They are still investigating. Meantime, one person has been shot in Boston's Jamaica Plain neighborhood. According to officials, a call came in at around 9:30 last night reporting a person had been shot in the area of 75 Armory Avenue. The victim was rushed to a hospital, but the extent of their injuries is currently unknown. No further details were made immediately available. Fall River Mayor Paul Coogan sending a message this morning. The recent uptick in crime in the city is unacceptable. The mayor was joined by the Bristol DA Thomas Quinn and Fall River Police Chief Jeff Cardoza Thursday, addressing a spike of violence in the city. Just in the last 39 days, the crime rate skyrocketing. 33 calls for shots fired in the month of June. Of the 9 shootings since June 1st, only 3 of them with arrests.
These are very serious crimes that undermine people's sense of security in their neighborhoods. There's nothing wrong with somebody coming down for a 4th of July party, but when fights break out and guns are pulled, that is unacceptable.
The known suspects in the recent arrests are from Fall River, New Bedford, and Brockton. In the meantime, Fall River's police chief has asked the state police and FBI to help patrol the city. Later today, Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee will hand over a petition with more than 3,000 signatures, all in support of small businesses in Rhode Island. They say they need more help from the state to keep their businesses running. They want to see the state create a grant program for small businesses instead of offering more loans. McKee is calling on Governor Raimondo to set aside at least 10% of the state's $1.25 billion in federal CARES Act funds for grants. Now taking a look at the latest tally of coronavirus cases in Rhode Island, the Department of Health reporting 50 new cases. That brings the total number to over 17,200. There are also 3 COVID-related deaths. That total is at 974. In Massachusetts, the Department of Public Health reporting an additional 177 confirmed cases. In addition, they confirmed 25 new COVID-related deaths across the state, bringing the state death toll to a little more than 8,000. Don't forget Good Morning America coming up next with all the latest on Tropical Storm Faye as well. Be sure to join me for ABC6 News at Noon. For the latest news, traffic, and weather anytime, ABC6.com is always on. It's been great to be here with you. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everybody. We'll catch you again at noon.